joined by this man. Tanner Kern does great work over at DraftKings. He, much like myself, loves baseball, and he, much like myself, is ready for some football. And Tanner, it's always great to have you aboard. Thank you.
Greg, thanks for having me. Baseball's here, football's here. It's a great time.
And I love the fact that if you're watching on VSiN.com, YouTube TV, for one, the suit game gets an A+ from me and a little bit of a square in the little pocket as well. So you get an A+ on the attire, you're dressed well, and you're dressed for success. And let's try to find some successful winners on the card as we start out with this Marlins versus Nationals game, as Yohan Nadone is going to be taking the bump for the Nationals, and Braxton Garrett is on the bump for Miami. Miami's between about a -190 to a -210 favorite with a total of 8. And I did go look at the spot for Washington, and they've actually won the last 3 times that Yohan Nadone has pitched. But Yohan Nadone is someone that I want absolutely no part of. You made so much money fading him last year. He's been just very fortunate in the starts that he's had that the Nationals have been able to generate runs, and I think that comes to an end against Braxton Garrett.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm going to go Marlins run line here for plus money. The Marlins have been a little cold as of late. They're coming off a series loss to the Padres. However, the day off on Thursday after a rough West Coast trip should help them a lot here, especially knowing that they're facing the Nationals. This is a series that they can win, and I think we're going to see them come out with a lot of effort in this spot. What should help the Miami Marlins here is just the fact that the Nationals have not been that competent a baseball team this season. I know they beat up on the New York Yankees this week. That's not as much of a testament to the Washington Nationals as a sign that the New York Yankees just aren't that good of a club right now. So the Nationals do have some momentum, but I think Miami ends that pretty quickly in this spot. The Nationals can hit with the Marlins. The numbers are actually very comparable on both sides when it comes to hits, average, RBIs, and all that. But the pitching advantage goes toward Miami in this spot. Braxton Garrett's going to pitch for the Marlins, 7-4 with a 3.94 and 1.17 WHIP. In the past month, he's been exceptional, 2.57 ERA and just 2 home runs allowed in 28 innings. The Nationals are not a team that's going to slap the ball all over the yard. If they hit home runs, they have a chance of competing. I don't see them doing that in this spot. And then Yohan Nadone's going to be on the mound for Washington. Has not found a groove this season in his time on the bump. He really hasn't faced that many good lineups either. And he's coming off a 4-inning start against the Phillies, where he led 6 runs on 6 hits. So not a spot that I want to take the Nationals in. I'm going to go the opposite side. I think the Marlins get back on track here and cover on the run line.
Now I'll give the Nationals a little bit of credit. They've actually posted up a very good second half of the season thus far. They're 7 games above 500 since the All-Star break, but Yohan Nadone is just completely unbackable for me. It's just one of those cases where it's like, yeah, I like what they're doing a little bit more. I've nudged them up. Not in this spot for me, though. This is a spot where I like what Mitch Keller has done, but being backed by those Pittsburgh Pirates bats, I would need more of a plus price to even consider it here. You've got the Chicago Cubs going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Keller's on the bump for the Pirates. Meanwhile, Kyle Hendricks goes for the Cubs. And with the Cubs, they're between about a -112 to a -120 favorite, split between 8.5 and 9 in the market with regards to the total. And I'm not sure how you've been evaluating Kyle Hendricks, but early on in his career, he's always a little bit more of a home pitcher than a road pitcher. I've noticed this year, he's actually been remarkably better on the road than he has at home, and I like the way the Cubs are rolling right now.
Kyle Hendricks used to be an automatic fade for me, but he's actually been really good this season. On the road, he's been better than he has been at home, but he's been exceptional on both sides there. When we look at Kyle Hendricks this season, 3-2 on the road with a 2.86 ERA, an opponent batting average of 207. This is not a guy with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He is a location pitcher, so the fact that he's holding opponents to his 207 average, very impressive. His batting average, opponent batting average at home this season is 286. So big drop off here. I'd rather have him pitch on the road when I see that number. And he's going to face a very quality pitcher in Mitch Keller. Keller's 10-8 with a 4.2 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP. He has been very consistent for the Pirates this season, but in the past month, we've really seen him blow up. He's got a 5.7 ERA this month. And I see this struggles continuing against the Chicago Cubs. They're very hot right now. They know they have to continue to win. They found a way to win today in extra innings. And I think we're going to see that moving forward. When you look at the offense for the Cubs, much better than the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates kind of forgot how to hit the baseball in the second half of the season. And for the Cubs, they outscored 100 more runs this season, and they have a lot of very good hitters, including Cody Bellinger. The Chicago Cubs are a sneaky pick to win the World Series, honestly. Sneaky pick to represent the World Series, at least in the National League. They have a lot of talent. They're playing good baseball, and I think we're going to see that in this game on Friday.
Lone correction I'm going to make. Tanner, it's ever since the beginning of the month of May that the Pirates have forgotten how to hit. I mean, they had that one just tremendous month, and from there, it's just Man, it's not been good for the Pittsburgh Pirates, to say the least. What is very good is having Tanner Kern aboard, though. He does tremendous work over at DraftKings, and he's joining me right here on the Greg Peterson Experience on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And Tanner, I'm sure that you are not shedding a tear for the struggles that we are seeing right now with the New York Yankees. I know that you're a little bit of a Red Sox fan, and myself being a Milwaukee Brewers fan, I certainly revel in this as well, as the Yankees are on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays. And the Rays opened up at a minus 140. This is down to a minus 124 to a minus 130 with a total between 7 and 7.5. And at the cheaper number, I like it on the Rays. Minus 140 was looking a little bit too lofty, but at a minus 130 with a Yankees team that hasn't been able to do anything, I'm just going to continue to fade the Yankees.
So whenever I look at the New York Yankees, I got to figure out who's pitching. That's my number one thing. If Garrett Cole's on the mound, maybe they have a chance. I can consider them. But right now, the way they're hitting the baseball and the way they're playing, I can't even do that. So I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays in this spot. And you can argue that Zach Eflin of the Rays, the pitcher for them, has actually been just as good as Garrett Cole. I think we're going to see that in this spot. And his impact is going to mean more against the bad Yankees offense. New York has only won one series since the All-Star break. That's embarrassing. It was against the Royals. Other than that, they've only tied a couple series, and they have lost every single one. So it's not been good for them. And Garrett Cole hasn't necessarily been lights out either. We've seen him kind of take a step back in the second half of the season. The Cy Young leader does have a 4.06 ERA in the past 30 days. Not as good as we saw earlier in the year when the Yankees were actually giving him some run support. It's got to be tough for him to go on the mound and know, hey, I got to give up less than 1 to 2 runs in this game to really have a chance because my offense just isn't that good unless you get a home run out of Aaron Judge or something. When we look at Zach Eflin of the Rays, been fantastic this season, especially at home. At Tropicana Field, he's made 14 starts this season. He's 10-3. He's got an opponent batting average of 223 and an ERA right around 3. The Rays are batting 261 as a team compared to the Yankees at 229. They scored 159 more runs this season, and they have nearly 200 more hits. So everything is pointing towards Tampa Bay Rays here. I don't care if Garrett Cole's on the mound.
Yep, I am right there with you. And with Garrett Cole right now, he's the leader in the clubhouse for AL Cy Young with regards to the odds board and everything like that. And I agree with that. He's had a nice year, but I mean, if Garrett Cole allows one run, it might be one too many in this spot with the way that the New York Yankees have been hitting. And on top of that, you mentioned Zach Eflin. He's always had demonstrative home and road splits. He has been tremendous at home. So I am in agreement with you there. And I think that this one is going to be a fascination as well. Got the Houston Astros on the road going up against the Detroit Tigers as Framber Valdez goes for Houston and Matt Manning's on the bump for the Tigers. Valdez has had his struggles. Let's call it what it is. 3+ runs surrendered and now 5 out of his last 6 starts. But Matt Manning has also had his struggles, and he's not backed up by the same offense of the Astros. This is a total of anywhere between 8 and 8.5 or 9. What are you taking a look at with regards to this game? Because I do take a look at this spot, and I do think that this could be a pretty good bounce-back spot for an Astros team that, let's call it what it is, they got crushed on Thursday.
Yeah, they were demoralized by the Boston Red Sox. So the Red Sox in jail for what they did to Houston today. It was bad. 17-1 win for the Boston Red Sox. I think this is a prime bounce-back spot, though, against the Detroit Tigers. I love Matt Manning. I think he's a very good pitcher. But when you look at it, the Detroit Tigers don't have the same run support that Framber Valdez has with the Houston Astros in this spot. I think both pitchers are going to give up some runs. You could look towards the over here. We saw that make a lot of money in the Red Sox series. But in this game, I'm still going to take the Houston Astros on the run line because they are the visitor. They're in a prime run line spot here. The only disadvantage for Houston, in my mind, is the fact that they had to travel today. So when I look at it, Matt Manning 5-4 with a 4.31 ERA and a 1.14 WHIP. He keeps the ball down the zone, but he isn't overpowering. And he also has a 6 ERA at home this season. Framber Valdez has a 3.55 ERA on the year, WHIP right around 1.1. He has recorded 153 strikeouts in 154 innings. That's something to note, too. Matt Manning doesn't have that same strikeout ability to get out of jams here. Just not a great spot for the Tigers. I do think Houston responds. They've been doing it all season. There's no reason to think they're not going to do it here.
Yep, and certainly Framber Valdez has been having his struggles, but the Astros, they've been the number one offense in terms of runs per game since the beginning of the month of June as well. So that works to their advantage, and what always works to our advantage is having a great guest like Tanner Kern aboard. He does tremendous work over